one will be massive. Legacy 2026, the Independence Edition. Saturday, February 7th, 8 p.m., Rodney Bay Pavilion. It's the big war. Legacy presents one of the Caribbean's greatest artists ever, the undisputed queen of soca, Destra. Yes, Destra Garcia. Destra. Then our groovy giants, Teddyson John, doing his vintage set.
I must have a woman to come and wine up on me.
And King Appa. Plus the outstanding St. Lucian cast, a mix of legends and rising stars. Ashanti, Educator, Desra, Manchas, Black Eye, Short Pants and more. Legacy 26 will be an epic show. Saturday, February 7th, 8 p.m., Rodney Bay Pavilion. Limited early birds $120, regular $150. Tickets available at Steve's Barbershop and The Way. Sponsored by Republic Bank, Massey Stores, First Citizen, IBS Solutions, Piton Vert, Crystal Clear Water, Flow, and the Independence Committee.
McDowell's Supplements, an effective way to ensure you and your loved ones are getting the daily recommended intake of essential vitamins, minerals, and other important nutrients necessary for optimal health. Naturally, we carry an array of health and wellness supplements. McDowell's Immune Booster enhances your body's defense to fight colds and flu, boosts your immune system, prevents viruses and other airborne diseases. McDowell's Colon Cleanser prevents constipation, helps in removing toxins from the colon, detoxifies the body, and regulates your bowel movements. McDowell's Prostate Health prevent the enlargement of the prostate, improve urinary flow, and reduce frequent urination, especially at night. Moringa oleifera capsules are rich in minerals like calcium, potassium, zinc, magnesium, iron, and copper, vitamins like beta-carotene of vitamin A, vitamin B such as folic acid, vitamin C, D, and E. McDowell's Potassium Complex, used for treating and preventing low potassium levels, high blood pressure, preventing stroke, and aid in weight loss. McDowell's Triple Magnesium relaxes the muscles, relieves cramps and helps to control high blood pressure, improves sleep, and can calm the nerves. Magnesium is very important for the normal functioning of cells, nerves, muscles, bones, and the heart. McDowell's Ginger Turmeric helps to relieve pain, decrease nausea and enhance the immune function to help protect against illness and infection. Ginger turmeric has powerful anti-inflammatory properties and improves your circulation. Don't hold health back. Let health strike back. McDowell's, the better way to start your health. Visit Health Service Center, John Compton Highway. Call 453-6417. Let your wellness be our stress.
Are you ready to make your mark in the media industry? NBC and Real FM are looking for fresh talent to join our team. We are currently seeking a dynamic radio DJ and announcer for Real FM, and also a skilled camera operator and editor for NBC. Apply today. Send your applications to jobs@nbcslu.com. Don't wait. The deadline is February 12, 2026.
It is well known that diseases like diabetes, high blood pressure, and other illnesses may restrict blood flow, which can lead to impotence and erectile dysfunction. This is why Enhance was formulated to meet these challenging health problems, which can reduce your ability to perform. If you're having problems maintaining your manhood, then reclaim your manhood today with Enhance. Enhance increases your energy level, boosts your stamina, and increases your endurance.
You can get your Enhance at Southwell VA4, Restorer Pharmacy Soufre, Knights Med Miku, Lay by Bar The Morn, Dexter's Place Jeremy Street Castries, Citygate Bar The City opposite the market, Plants Place Denry Highway, Arlette Supermarket Soufre, The Release Stress Bar Labrie Highway, Cool Joint Bar Victoria Schwazel, Prios Bus Stop 22, next to the Moshi Bus Stop, opposite the Grosley Bus Stop. Prios Bar and Grill in Corinth, Grosley.
Enhance, the best a man can get.
Why are you suffering from aches, pains, and illnesses? when there's help for you. At Health Service Center, we offer a wide range of treatment that has been scientifically proven to help you with your aches, pains, and illnesses. Our ICT machine is one of the most effective devices in the health field. It has shown positive results in many health problems, such as back pains, shoulder pains, migraine headaches, pain in the knees and legs, poor circulation, arthritis, diabetic neuropathy, numbness in the feet, strokes and sports injuries. ICT, repairs, rebuild. The power to heal, the future of pain relief.
Live streaming has become one of the best ways to connect the funeral of a loved one with friends and family, both local and international. NBC Television will live stream your funerals on television and Facebook at a reasonable rate. With our state-of-the-art equipment, you can be assured that the quality of your funeral will be to your satisfaction. Call our office now and book your obituary and streaming with us. 758-453-7458.
This one will be massive! Legacy 2026, the Independence Edition. Saturday, February 7th, 8 p.m., Rodney Bay Pavilion. It's the big war! Legacy presents one of the Caribbean's greatest artists ever, the undisputed Queen of Soca, Destra. Yes, Destra Garcia. Destra. Then our groovy giants, Teddyson John, doing his vintage set.
I must have a woman to come and wine up on me.
And King Alpha. Plus the outstanding St. Lucian cast, a mix of legends and rising stars. Ashanti, Educator, Desra, Manchas, Black Eye. Short pants and more. Legacy 26 will be an epic show. Saturday, February 7th, 8 p.m., Rodney Bay Pavilion. Limited early birds $120. Regular $150. Tickets available at Steve's Barbershop and The Way. Sponsored by Republic Bank, Massey Store, First Citizen, IBS Solution, Piton Bear, Crystal Clear Water, Flow, and the Independence Committee.
McDowell's Supplements, an effective way to ensure you and your loved ones are getting the daily recommended intake of essential vitamins, minerals, and other important nutrients necessary for optimal health. Naturally, we carry an array of health and wellness supplements. McDowell's Immune Booster enhances your body's defense to fight colds and flu, boosts your immune system, prevents viruses and other airborne diseases. McDowell's Colon Cleanser prevents constipation, helps in removing toxins from the colon, detoxifies the body, and regulates your bowel movements. McDowell's Prostate Health prevent the enlargement of the prostate, improve urinary flow, and reduce frequent urination, especially at night. Moringa oleifera capsules are rich in minerals like calcium, potassium, zinc, magnesium, iron, and copper, vitamins like beta-carotene of vitamin A, vitamin B such as folic acid, vitamin C, D, and E. McDowell's Potassium Complex, used for treating and preventing low potassium levels, high blood pressure, preventing stroke, and aid in weight loss. McDowell's Triple Magnesium relaxes the muscles, relieves cramps and helps to control high blood pressure, improves sleep, and can calm the nerves. Magnesium is very important for the normal functioning of cells, nerves, muscles, bones, and the heart. McDowell's Ginger Turmeric helps to relieve pain, decrease nausea and enhance the immune function to help protect against illness and infection. Ginger turmeric has powerful anti-inflammatory properties and improves your circulation. Don't hold health back. Let health strike back. McDowell's, the better way to start your health. Visit Health Service Center, John Compton Highway. Call 453-6417. Let your wellness be our stress.
The man, the voice. Your hero is back. Raw facts, no fluffs. Shelton Daniel is here to deal with the issues. Real issues. 12:30 p.m. to 2 p.m. Monday to Friday on Real FM. The man.
Another wonderful Wednesday afternoon to you, everyone. Welcome once again to The Real Issues with me, Shelton Daniel, going solo today. Someone's trying to call me. Wow. Hold on. Yeah, hello. Yeah, well, folks, my apologies. I'm going to be conferencing two people for an interview today, and apparently there was a little bit of a misunderstanding. Let me call the second one to see if I can get him. Yeah, okay. You're on air right now. Just hold on. Let me call the second interviewee. So just stay on the line, okay? Hello, did you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. Let me see if I can get that. This is a little Alton. All right. Let's see if we can get that. Yeah, hi Doc. This is Shelton Daniel. You're on air now. So just stay on the line, okay? All right. All right, folks, I'm sorry about that. I think I have both of them right now. I thought I had laid done the little necessary preliminaries for having them. So I did promise you that I'll have two people on the line today to interview about, as the expert voices on this whole matter of Uber in St. Lucia, we've heard the voices of different persons based upon their experiences, members of the public, local stakeholders, etc. But I want to have two people who come with a certain degree of expertise in their respective fields, so that we can hear how they feel about Uber entering the St. Lucia market, whether they think it's a good thing or a bad thing, and not just leave it at that, but to tell us why. They're not necessarily taking divergent or antagonistic point of views, but basically, to bring the benefit of their insights to us. And so without any further ado, given the limited time that we're likely to have with them, let me introduce Ms. Kimani Goddard. She is a former broadcast journalist, reporter in St. Lucia, who is now a lawyer working with an international organization based in Europe. I hesitate to say which one. She will say if she wants to when she comes on. And she specializes in the areas of, broadly speaking, intellectual property, corporate law, and I think contract law. She can always correct me on that. The other person is no stranger to the real issues. He is Dr. Carlton Augustine, an economist who is a university lecturer at present in the United States and a former employee who worked as an economist there, of course, at the Eastern Caribbean Central Bank. So I want to say a special good afternoon and welcome, first of all, to the one who's never been here before, and in the spirit of ladies first, Kimani, welcome to The Real Issues for the first time.
Thank you for that welcome. Thank you very much.
Okay.
I'm happy to be here.
Absolutely. And of course, Dr. Carlton Augustine, thank you so much for always, when asked, to give the benefit of your experience and your expertise. So As the new voice on the real issues, Kimani, let me just ask you, what's your thoughts about Uber? There's been a lot of discussion about it. Some people believe they should not be allowed to set up shop in St. Lucia. It will be bad for local stakeholders. It can lead to a draining of, I don't know if capital flight, well, not capital flight, of course, but a draining of our resources and money being repatriated from St. Lucia, as this year has happened with other industries. So what is your take on this whole matter of Uber? And of course, you can set the scene for us with your introduction in any way that you please.
Okay, because of my background in intellectual property and international investment law, corporate law, we deal a lot with economic issues. And I do advise, in addition to working for an international organization, I do advise actually a software service company. So what I wanted to do is kind of give an idea of what a software service company is. These types of business models, they allow companies to provide services on the ground, but with very light administrative presence, very light commercial presence. And that's important for you to understand, that there is very light commercial presence, which also means very light foreign investment. Okay? So very light amounts of money coming into the economy. So what we have regarding the transport sector, we have a private transport sector that maybe it has a allocation or management problem, and a software service platform solves a number of problems for a private transportation sector, which information asymmetry for riders and taxi drivers. It makes that more efficient. Resource allocation, distribution, and timing of riders and drivers, and the governance part of it in terms of managing the whole system and getting everybody where they're supposed to go on time and at a reasonable cost. And software service platforms makes it possible to do that with low administrative costs. Mm-hmm. And it also makes it possible for a global business provider to do that in a territory that they have no connection to. All right. So they charge a fee for doing that. And this is what Uber does. And this is what local provider Ale also does. All right. Okay. The difference between Uber and Ale is that Ale's profits stay within the St. Lucian economy, and Uber's profits go to some international financial capital somewhere. Okay. Okay. So what we have to think about, I'm speaking from a societal governance perspective. I'm not speaking from any kind of personal perspective and what we think we want for a society like St. Lucia. All right. We have to understand that St. Lucia is a small open tourism economy. About 65% of economic activity in St. Lucia is directly tied to the tourism sector. And nearly 80% of the tourism plant, the tourism business model in St. Lucia is owned externally. That is very important to understand. What that means in practice is that although you have a sector that's generating billions of dollars, 80 or more % of that leaves the country, or it never enters the country in the first place. Okay? So what you must also understand is that our tourism industry, because of the heavy tourism industry, the taxi sector, the transport sector, provision of transportation services is heavily marked by tourism and just not local riders. Okay? So what you do have now is you have to understand how much taxpayer money does the government of St. Lucia invest in making sure that there are heads in beds and that there are punters in the port in Castries from the cruise ship industry. You must understand that the government invests quite a lot of taxpayers' money in supporting flights, in supporting airlift to St. Lucia, in providing concession for the accommodation sector, in providing all kinds of services for the accommodation sector that allowed every single tourist that you see that takes a taxi or doesn't take a taxi to be here in port. So the government, in addition to the investors we have here in the tourism economy, the government also invests in bringing these people here.
Okay.
So that what you are saying to me is that all of that taxpayer money that is invested into ensuring that there is airlift so that these people can get here.
The cruise ports and all of that, Point Seraphine, or the whole development of the marine all of that,
Also to ensure that hotels have clean water, 24-hour electricity, all of these services and other services that are provided to the hotel sector. All of that money that you must, behind every single tourist who is here, there is taxpayer money that makes sure that they can get here and have a good experience. And so that creates the taxi market. The taxi market happens to be the only business that connected to the tourism sector where St. Lucians can actually bring in most of the profit that is available in that sector. All right, so most of the profit available in that sector is being brought home by St. Lucians, and it remains in the economy. And that is a small portion of the billions in profits that's generated annually in the entire sector in St. Lucia. So what you're telling me right now is that a service which is already being provided by a local application provider whose profits remain in the economy, right, must now compete with a global behemoth who has a $150 billion market capitalization, right? Must compete in their own economy in a market that has been nurtured and created by the investment of the government and people of St. Lucia.
Okay.
Right.
Okay, let's you'll come back to this point, but let's not keep Dr. Carlton Augustine quiet for some time before I hear the click of his hang up. Carlton, you've been hearing so far what Kimani has had to say and your own thoughts on the matter. Bring it on. I don't want it to be a free-for-all of everybody just weighing in and, on this subject matter. Basically, what are your insights and thoughts on this whole Uber argument that has unfolded in St. Lucia and looks like it's going to be around for a little while?
Okay, thank you, Shelton. The thing about it is that, let me start by talking about the Uber business model. It is essentially a digital middleman where it brings drivers and people who need rides together. Now, the problem I have with Uber is that wherever they go, there is a certain amount of disruption. And while I think that the transportation sector needs the jolt, just by way of background, I remember sitting in a meeting in 1990 with the World Bank in Sir John Compton's office. Osbert Duvay was the Minister of Planning, and the World Bank team started the meeting by saying that the transportation sector in St. Lucia has developed in a haphazard manner. So we're talking about 1990. And this trend has continued. So we definitely need a jolt in the transportation sector, but not in the way Uber has done, in terms of evading local regulations. Because the minister has said that Uber has not received permission to operate, and it is quite plausible in the digital age. They did the same thing in Jamaica, Trinidad, Barbados. Wherever they go in, it is part of their business model, where they have this strategy of commencing operations in places without proper authorization, without regard to local regulations. So what they're doing in Ceylon, this is one of the things I object to, their approach. And the second thing is that we must ensure that there are no private drivers. If the service does come in, and as the other panelists pointed out, we have a local app. Safeguards must be put in place to ensure that Uber does not swamp out this local app. But the thing I will tell you is that, and I think it's important that at the end of the day, economics will dictate. Uber set up operations in Trinidad and Tobago in 2016, and by 2018, they had ceased operations because the economics just didn't support it. One of the things is that Uber relies on debit cards and credit cards. And in terms of Trinidad and Tobago, I think the penetration rate, only 20% of the population had credit cards. That is important. In some instances, they accept cash, but this proves to be a safety problem. So I think at the end of the day, economics will dictate. But I would like Uber to respect our rules. It seems that is part of the business model. Wherever they go in without permission, create all kind of controversies, confusions. They did it in several cities in the US. And in fact, they actually have technology to evade regulations. So in cities where they have been banned, they have created this fake app where, for example, if they know that a police is looking for Uber, they would actually direct that police to a false site with a false booking so that they will not be caught.
Okay.
So it seems to be part of the business model. The way they came into St. Lucia, I have a problem with that. The second thing is that, or more importantly, obey the regulations. Arrange to pay your taxes. Make sure you have the proper certification to take part in the tourist industry. Make sure you have a trade license. And they haven't done that. So this is where I have a big problem with Uber. That they think they could just come in. It's part of their business strategy to just go in and disrupt the transportation sector without obeying local regulations.
All right. Okay. Thank you for that intro, Carlton. Kimani, I just want to ask you, in our reaction, response, evaluation of Uber, you, for example, do you think maybe you are too focused on the tourism aspect of it? Does not Uber have uses and applications where it can be utilized beyond and outside what we know or regard as the tourism industry? What about ordinary people who want taxi-like services and so on, maybe some sort of delivery or pickup or whatever it is? Does Uber, our appraisal of it, have to be limited to the tourism industry? Because you mentioned a lot about the tremendous investments, and I'm agreeing with you, and I think everyone will, that we have done in airports, that we have done in cruising facilities, in Laplace Carénage, in Point Serafin, you just name it. We've put a lot into it. But outside of these, cannot Uber find a very wide reception of much needed services outside of the formal tourism industry?
Okay, thank you for asking that question. The reason I focused on the tourism industry is because that is the major source of people wanting rides in the system. There's a local system of buses and so on, and local people also wanting to use taxis that do use the Ali app. Now, what I want to say about local people using the Uber app, that is even more egregious a situation than the tourism sector, because then you are not dealing only with tourism dollars coming from abroad, you are dealing with money generated and earned in this economy that have nothing to do with people coming from abroad to spend their money, but solutions earning money within this economy and spending it within this economy that is being taken out by a multinational. We have a population of roughly 200,000 people, and at any one time, we probably have 30 to 60,000 tourists in this country sharing that space with us. So there are other services that Uber in the US market offers other than just ride hailing. You know, they have Uber Eats and they even do freight service. So they do e-commerce delivery. And that is actually even a worse indictment, because what that means is that instead of having companies such as Ale, give them the support, the investment to scale them up to be able to provide other transportation services. We are going to bring a foreign app that has a 150 billion market capitalization that started in 2009 small, just like Ali, but they were given the investment from their own market to become the company that they are today. But we are going to kill a small app provider before they even get off the ground. If they come into this market, the kind of services they are probably going to try to offer fall into the same category. Food delivery. There's also what we call freight services, what you call e-commerce delivery. That is an issue in St. Lucia for small businesses who make products and services, and to have them delivered all across the country efficiently. And I believe if that kind of service is going to be offered, it is better for us to invest in an application like Ali that is already there. We know their profits stay in St. Lucia. To have them do that. Yes, they can offer other services, but that doesn't make the case for their service any better. It actually makes it worse. It means that they will be embedded in our economy, not only controlling the private taxi service sector, but also controlling e-commerce delivery, food, all sorts of kinds of delivery. And they will be, because of the size of their market capitalization, they will be able to basically control this type of transportation market for goods and services and people.
All right. So,
okay, and that will never be good for a government.
Okay. Carlton, I've listened to Kimani, and what she seems to be saying is that it's not really the business model that is a problem. It is the fact that it has its base outside of St. Lucia, and whatever the harvest will go outside of St. Lucia. If we can have that kind of business model, we need to try to domesticate it. We need to try to have it centered in St. Lucia. If in fact I have heard her correctly, do you agree with that? And are there any exceptions or variations? Yeah.
I agree wholeheartedly. Because my concern is that this giant is disrespectful, and they will wipe out if we don't watch it. I'm not saying this should not be allowed, but we have to put in safeguards. One, to ensure that the local ride-sharing app is not made obsolete. Or we have to ensure that it is able to develop alongside Uber. Give people a choice. And I believe, because what Uber does, everywhere they go, they start at a low price. Because I take Uber quite a lot, and I talk to the drivers to try to understand. And at one point, Uber was taking about maybe 10%. When they started, 10 to 15% of each fare. Now I think they take almost 50%. So I believe, one, I agree we should not allow them to go into things like freight, limited, if it's only to taxis, no private drivers. And at the end of the day, the economics will dictate. Because what they do is they start at a low price, and then they raise it. So that's sort of what we call predatory pricing. You drive out your competitors by taking all the customers from them. And when that competitor is out of the market, you take over everything. So the regulations, our laws have to be enforced. And in fact, the Barbados government, Miyamoto, Prime Minister, has recognized that the laws need to be. I sent you a clip where she makes that point. I think she's asking the AG to look at the laws to ensure, because one of the things Uber does is they look for loopholes and they fight with regulators. So this is part of the business. They will try to, but we have to ensure that they do not, if they come in, it is only for taxi services.
All right, Kimani, I think I have a question which would be right up your alley. It is on the matter of free trade and protectionism. We have spent decades building up and negotiating and preaching the gospel of free trade and avoiding protectionism and blocking our markets off to others, and the punishments and the retaliations that of course will apply to weak and small and vulnerable countries such as ours. We see the bigger countries, doing whatever they want when they want and flouting the very same rules that they lay down for us. But be that as it may, what could be the consequences within the international system of trade if St. Lucia were to say, hey, we don't want Uber here, we're blocking out Uber? Can we face any kind of repercussions and retaliation under the international free trade that at one time was a mantra, that was preached about, the way going forward? Where does it now stand?
What I would tell you, it is technically possible to bring to request a claim at the WTO dispute settlement body. It could be technically possible, but in order for it to be technically possible, a number of criteria have to be met. They need to be a legitimate investor. They need to be operating in accordance with the law, and in accordance with the law, in order to first be considered as engaging in legitimate trade in the state of St. Lucia. So that already would disqualify them. That their government, first of all, WTO dispute settlement is a state-to-state matter. So it is a political decision for the government of the United States, where they are domiciled, to decide whether they want to take on this cause of Uber for the transport sector in the Caribbean. And I don't think they would take that on just for a small country like St. Lucia, but in the Caribbean. So far in Europe, the United States government has not been willing to go to the WTO dispute settlement body on behalf of Uber. In fact, Uber has been before the European Court of Justice, and because of its classification of its attempt, because again, it was not operating in terms of the rules of Spain and other areas in Europe for what a transportation service is supposed to be, the licenses you're supposed to have. They registered as an internet intermediary service when they are actually a transportation service, just basically using an app to deliver that service, right? So, and the court decided that they were a transportation service, and as such, they need to abide by all regulations and licenses that applies to the transportation system. So first they would have to actually be legally domiciled, registered, and following all the rules for that to happen. So that is highly unlikely. Okay.
They've got
the WTO dispute, the DSB is highly unlikely to find that they have jurisdiction to hear a case like that. And the U.S. government is highly unlikely to try to bring a case like that before the WTO DSB. Another issue I wanted to bring up on the legal front, the app is live in St. Lucia. I have my app from Switzerland and France, and it perked up, and I realized that the app is live, and you can book trips. What I want to say, because Uber, as far as I know, is not registered as a commercial entity in St. Lucia or anywhere in the OECS, and has not registered from having another corporate filial in another OECS jurisdiction. Uber is not legally a business entity in St. Lucia or anywhere in the OECS.
Do they need to be in order to do business? Because I'm saying we're talking about this whole world of digital assets, you know. So I mean, in the digital,
not because it is digital doesn't mean that they don't have to operate by normal business registration practices. Okay, you're a business, you need to be registered either in the OECS, you need to be registered either in the jurisdiction where you have your incorporation, or if you're incorporated in say Dominica and you want to do business in St. Lucia, if you're already incorporated there, you need to come to St. Lucia and then register that you are a Dominican entity and you would like to register to do business.
I guess what I was really asking is based upon the principle that a sale or a service is at the end of it all a transaction between a buyer and a seller. They agree with it. And so someone goes on the app which they have registered and they call up a service which is brokered by Uber and so on. For all the rules, all the trading license and so on, who can prevent that kind of transaction from taking place? Can it be blocked in any way?
So, it can be blocked because it is illegal. Whether a government chooses to do so is they might not want to be so heavy-handed. It is perfectly possible to use technology and software to disable Uber from operating in St. Lucia. It's perfectly possible to do that. So you can have that heavy hand and do that, but you want to solve these issues by business and legal means, not these kinds of heavy-handed tactics.
All right.
What I wanted to say is that anybody taking a ride on Uber, should anything happen to you, the rider, or should anything happen to you, the driver, through a ride that has been brokered through that intermediary, then the tort law and the negligence issue and liability and all of these things are up in the air. You will have a very difficult time trying to get any joy from anyone. Essentially, what you are doing is engaging in an illegal act.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, Dr. Carlton Augustine, I heard Kimani say that as far as she can, not in those words, maybe countries like the United States, they have far bigger fish to fry than for them to be bothered. We've taken cases to the WTO over Uber. It kind of surprised me because I think she herself said that Uber represents 150 billion capitalization. That may be a different thing than its asset base. I don't always understand the terminology, but it takes my mind back to many years when St. Lucia attempted to give a little bit of shoulder room for its local poultry industry. Meager, miniature by any standard whatsoever. I think then Agriculture Minister Cassius Elias spearheaded putting in place a regime whereby 20% of our local chicken consumption would be provided by local poultry farmers, so that we would 80% we could import it, we could get it from wherever, United States and so on, but let us reserve 20% for the local producers to supply our market needs and so on. And surprise, surprise, or was it a surprise? I think we were reported to the WTO by the US over that matter. It's many, many, many years. Many people may not forget it. I'm sure Cassilas will never forget that. So right now, maybe the preoccupation of the United States, maybe with many other things, with Greenland, with Canada, with a whole lot of things, Iran, Venezuela. But what can we say that tomorrow, when the attention span shifts again to St. Lucia, that we could not find ourselves being hauled with a complaint over Uber from the very behemoth that we thought, would not bother about that?
It is a possibility because Uber spends very heavily, a lot of money on lobbying. They're able to dictate policies, and that's one of the things we're coming up against. They've done it. Uber has waged battle after battle. So they have battle-hardened lobbyists. This is what they employ. So if we do try to take legal action, which I think we should, just to backtrack, I think we should block Uber. Because from my research, Uber needs a trade license to engage in the tourist sector. They need certification and they need to make arrangements to pay taxes. They have done none of this. And until they satisfy those three requirements, I think they should be blocked.
Okay.
But if we do, I think we expect to face some backlash because they have lobbyists in Washington who will come out. I would expect the U.S. to come after us if we do.
Okay, so we might be facing 1,000% tariffs. We might wake up tomorrow morning and hear 1,000% tariffs announced. Go ahead, Kimani. Let's wrap it up now.
I mean, those kinds of political recriminations can happen, but as to getting a case before the WTO on the basis that you're operating illegally, that is something else. Also, lots of the rules on special and differential treatment and asymmetries in WTO legislation and the standard of review of cases have changed drastically since the 1990s and early 2000s. So a case like that is unlikely to receive any welcome before the WTO DSB. But I would say that if you wanted to, you can take the heavy-handed approach and you can technologically block the app. That is possible. But again, I think that something like that would probably get you the 1,000% tariffs that you're talking about.
Because I think what we've seen happening in the world is not about following process and dispute settlement and anything like that. It's a matter of the power politics, the high-handedness of power politics. We're high, we're mighty, we can do whatever we want. We can come to your country, abduct your prime minister or president. We can encircle you with warships and so on, blockade you. So I'm just saying that, yes, there is the WTO, which does not seem to be enjoying the regard and reverence that maybe it once did. And in the world of international power politics, we know who are the major players and brokers and so on. So can we find ourselves in the crosshairs over something that on the sum of it may seem to be insignificant, may seem to be, small like Uber and so on. Well, I mean small in the grand scheme, that we can find ourselves getting some unwanted attention.
Well, I don't think it's insignificant to St. Lucia because it represents middle-class livelihoods for taxi drivers and others engaged in the sector. And for the young people who have built transport applications and invested in a business and hoping to have their financial sector and their regulatory sector to support them in scaling that business, I don't think that is something that we should be very careful about the decisions we take about how much of our economy that we surrender. As I said, 80% of our economy, of the billions of dollars in tourism funding, already leaves this jurisdiction. This is, I don't know what to say if we're going to, if every single thing we're going to capitulate. There are other things going on that represent a capitulation as well. I don't want to mention them, but what I will say is Uber is already operating illegally. Anybody taking a ride on an Uber app at the moment, if anything happens to them, I don't know what kind of compensation, damages, all of this I really don't know what will happen. And let's support and help our local apps to scale so that they can offer not only rides to local people at affordable prices, that if they can scale in other sectors like e-commerce delivery and help our small businesses that are coming out of the youth economy, and if they can scale in also food delivery, and if they can also scale in water taxi delivery. So let's talk to the local apps that are already available and see how we can support them to scale to offer better private service. And I would say this is an argument, the problem with local people without a card, getting themselves from point A to point B, requires us to really take a look at a mass transit system, a light rail system for St. Lucia, and there are affordable ways to do this now. A civilized country is where the transportation system is clean, sound, and everybody from the richest to the poorest feels comfortable, safe enough to use it at any time.
All right. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Ms. Kimani Goddard. And now let's just have the parting words from Dr. Carlton Augustine. We're wrapping it up, but just a last word from you.
Yes, Sir Shelton. I'm not so much against Uber, but my concern is that they have violated our laws. They are operating illegally. So we must offer protection for any local app existing. And in fact, Mia Motley did it in Barbados. She allowed a 1-year waiting period for Uber operating in certain areas so as to allow the local app to develop. So this is what I'm looking at. Yes, 1, no private cars, only taxis, and secondly, they must not be predatory in the sense that they drive the local app out of business.
Okay.
That is my major concern.
All right, thanks, Carlton. As I said with Kimani, this is the Real Issues powered by Blue Waters. We take a break right now. We're way behind time. When we come back, we'll begin taking your calls. We'll take another early break before we wrap up at 2 so that we can catch up with those that have been scheduled. We don't often do that, but we consider today was special, and the level of discussion, the depth of it, the necessity of it, having those two experts on, we thought we could make a little bit of an exception, and I'm sure it's well supported by you, so don't go away.
The man, the voice. Your hero is back. Raw facts, no fluff. Shelton Daniel is here to deal with the issues. 12:30 p.m. to 2 p.m. Monday to Friday on Real FM.
This one will be massive! Legacy 2026, the Independence Edition. Saturday, February 7th, 8 p.m., Rodney Bay Pavilion. It's the big war! Legacy presents one of the Caribbean's greatest artists ever, the undisputed queen of soca, Destra. Yes, Destra Garcia. Destra. Then our groovy giants, Teddyson John, doing his vintage set.
I must have a woman to come and wine up on me.
And King Alpha. Plus the outstanding St. Lucian cast, a mix of legends and rising stars. Ashanti, Educator, Desra, Manchas, Black Eye. Short pants and more. Legacy 26 will be an epic show. Saturday, February 7th, 8 p.m. Rodney Bay Pavilion. Limited early birds $120. Regular $150. Tickets available at Steve's Barber Shop and The Way. Sponsored by Republic Bank, Massey Store, First Citizen, IBS Solution, Piton Bear, Crystal Clear Water, Flow, and the Independence Committee.
McDowell Supplements, an effective way to ensure you and your loved ones are getting the daily recommended intake of essential vitamins, minerals, and other important nutrients necessary for optimal health. Naturally, we carry an array of health and wellness supplements. McDowell's Immune Booster enhances your body's defense to fight colds and flu, boosts your immune system, prevents viruses and other airborne diseases. McDowell's Colon Cleanser prevents constipation, helps in removing toxins from the colon, detoxifies the body, and regulates your bowel movements. McDowell's Prostate Health prevent the enlargement of the prostate, improve urinary flow, and reduce frequent urination, especially at night. Moringa oleifera capsules are rich in minerals like calcium, potassium, zinc, magnesium, iron, and copper, vitamins like beta-carotene of vitamin A, vitamin B such as folic acid, vitamin C, D, and E. McDowell's Potassium Complex, used for treating and preventing low potassium levels, high blood pressure, preventing stroke, and aid in weight loss. McDowell's Triple Magnesium relaxes the muscles, relieves cramps and helps to control high blood pressure, improves sleep, and can calm the nerves. Magnesium is very important for the normal functioning of cells, nerves, muscles, bones, and the heart. McDowell's Ginger Turmeric helps to relieve pain, decrease nausea and enhance the immune function to help protect against illness and infection. Ginger turmeric has powerful anti-inflammatory properties and improves your circulation. Don't hold health back. Let health strike back. McDowell's, the better way to start your health. Visit Health Service Center, John Compton Highway, call 453-6417. Let your wellness be our stress.
Are you ready to make your mark in the media industry? NBC and Real FM are looking for fresh talent to join our team. We are currently seeking a dynamic radio DJ and announcer for Real FM, and also a skilled camera operator and editor for NBC. Apply today. Send your applications to jobs@nbcslu.com. Don't wait. The deadline is February 12, 2026.
It is well known that diseases like diabetes, high blood pressure, and other illnesses may restrict blood flow, which can lead to impotence and erectile dysfunction. This is why Enhance was formulated to meet these challenging health problems, which can reduce your ability to perform. If you're having problems maintaining your manhood, then reclaim your manhood today with Enhance. Enhance increases your energy level, boosts your stamina, and increases your endurance.
You can get your Enhance at Southwell VA4, Restorer Pharmacy Soufre, Knights Med Miku, Lay by Bar The Morn, Dexter's Place Jeremy Street Castries, Citygate Bar The CDC opposite the market, Plants Place Denry Highway, Arlette Supermarket Soufre, The Release Stress Bar Labrie Highway, Cool Joint Bar Victoria Schwazel, Prios Bus Stop 22, next to the Moshi Bus Stop opposite the Grosley Bus Stop, Prios Bar and Grill in Corinth, Grosley.
Enhance, the best a man can get.
The man, the voice. Your hero is back. Raw facts, no fluffs. Shelton Daniel is here to deal with the issues. Real issues. 12:30 p.m. to 2 p.m. Monday to Friday on Real FM.
This is the Real Issues powered by Blue Waters on Wednesday, the 4th of February 2026 with me, Shelton Daniel. Kind of solo today. And of course, always have my trusted technical operator, Alton Jaquan Joseph, in the studio. We're opening the telephone lines now for your calls. The numbers on which you can reach us, you can WhatsApp call us on 758-487-9849. That's 487-9849. And you can also reach us on the local landline, 4533-911. All right, so we're beginning to take your calls now. It's kind of an irregular time, I know, but we started irregular, and I think we're getting our first call. Real Issues, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Hi, Shelton.
How are you doing?
Not too bad. Shelton, quite a few things there, but, I
speak up a bit for me, please.
Because I know, there will be other callers.
Yeah, speak up a bit for me.
Yeah, but Shelton, first things first, I think you got something wrong in terms of the chicken issue, where the government had said that, it will reserve 20% of the chicken market for the local producers and 80% for the importers. It wasn't if I remember correctly,
it wasn't a what?
It wasn't a WTO issue. It was the importers who kicked hell against that, because for one thing, they were saying that the local producers couldn't even provide them with the 20%, and yet here was the government reserving 20% for them, and they were saying that it was creating a burden on them, not only because of that, but because of other considerations. So it wasn't a WTO issue; it was an issue raised by the importers of chicken themselves, not the WTO, and you can check that out. Shelton, the other thing is, listen, Kimani raised several points there. Excellent points, I thought, and so did Carlton. But for me, the main thing remains. We have rules, regulations, laws in place, and Uber has decided,
as usual, based on what both Kimani and the Carlton said, as usual, they decided to just violate those things in St. Lucia, as they've done in other countries, and begin to operate, even though they have not yet been given the go-ahead by the government, because they have not yet put in place the requirements that they need to before they begin to operate. One of the other things one of the other issues that Kimani raised was the issue of, look, somebody is riding in a Uber taxi. Something happens to that person. To whom does that person have a recourse? Is it to the taxi driver? Is it to Uber? Especially when an Uber has not yet done the necessary prerequisites to begin to operate, because it's operating illegally. There are so many questions still left unanswered. Shelton. And one more thing. In terms of Ali, both the Ali and the Uber discussion, Shelton, this is where we need to have people, including the Ali people, including the taxi driver associations, including the National Consumer Association, including other people with requisite knowledge in terms of those things, to come forward and discuss, debate, especially with what is happening in the world today, where North America and those Western powers believe that they can continually dictate to us and that sort of stuff. We need to begin that type of discussions which will take us, 20, 50 years into the future, because whatever CARICOM decides that is going to do in terms of addressing all of those issues we face, it must not be just for the present or the near future, but we must discuss with a view to providing solutions that go into the next 20 to 50 years. Thank you, Shelton.
All right, thank you very much. Okay. 4879849, you can WhatsApp call us on that number, and this caller just reached us on the landline, which is 4533911. All right, we're taking your calls until 2 o'clock this afternoon, when we shut shop for the day on the program, which airs weekdays from 12:30 until 2 p.m. on the radio station Real FM 91.3 for the North and 91.5 for the South, simulcasting on NBC Television Channel 120 on the flow cable TV service. I think we're going to come to a resolution on this whole Uber matter and a lot of other matters. Trinidad and Tobago, it seemed like the government there has put out a statement saying that no U.S. pressure has caused it to not send more students to Cuba. But why would the U.S. need to pressure you when you've done it by yourself already? I mean, since last year or whatever time after Kamala Persad-Bissessar won the elections, Trinidad has not sent another cohort. They're claiming that it's because it's too expensive now, because Cuba has nothing, so they have to send supplies and they have to send food, to them and so on. I mean, come on, everybody knows that's the situation, that the St. Lucian students in Cuba often, need their people back home to supplement. But what's such a big deal about it when Cuba is providing the scholarships for nothing? You don't have money to give them. They're giving you the scholarships for nothing, and that's if even the flights, to go to Cuba, are not paid for and so on. So you stop it because you now have a government headed by a prime minister who's very pro-American. Whatever America does, they facilitated America as much as they could with its assault on Venezuela, the buildup of American forces, naval forces, air forces, and the installation of special radar and whatever it was and so on to pump whatever waves of sonar and so on at the Venezuelans to knock them out while they were guarding Maduro, so that not a man could move or anything like that. A lot of the build-up took place with Trinidad's participation, collusion, cooperation, and so on. Cuba, Trinidad had already taken a position. Kamala Persad-Bissessar, you don't need to come and announce things for people to know what it is. So why would you need to come and say yes to the Americans or no to the Americans, we're not going to send, when you are already in sync with them? You are already in train with what they were doing. So I don't see the sense of that kind of denial. I was looking for me to Okay, we have a call on the line anyway. Real issues, you're on the air. Go ahead. Hello? Hello? Yeah, real issues, are you there? Caller, are you there? Are you sure the port is open? Alright, okay. Anyway, we had a silent caller on the line and so on. And so you're going to get all kinds of things floating back and forth. You know, this is thing in the Trinidad Guardian, and this is what it says. TNT denies U.S. pressure to end the medical study program with Cuba. Oh, here's what it says. The government is assuring that Trinidad and Tobago has received no directive from the United States to halt the long-standing practice of sending nationals to Cuba to study medicine. The assurance comes days after St. Lucia's Prime Minister Philip Pierre disclosed that his government had been instructed by Washington to discontinue the program. Pierre made the revelation during his address at the Second World Congress on Racial and Ethnic Health Disparities in St. Lucia, which ran from January 27th to the 31st. Do we have a caller now? All right, real issues, you're on the air. Go ahead. Hi, caller, are you there? Something is wrong. Some audio port. All right, okay, well, let's not waste time with it because there's nothing we can do about it. We have a lot of problems on Zafeno on Mornings, Jaime and I, where we're talking to people and they're not hearing us. They're saying hello, hello, and we're saying go ahead, we're hearing you, and they keep on saying hello, hello. So I don't know. For a place, telling you, we generally have problems with phone calls and all of that, you know. And this is a place we moved in not too long ago. So I think whatever rewiring and testing of you know, lines and so on, I thought, you know, that would have been something that is a thing of the past. But we're still having those issues on the programs. Yeah, we have sometimes at the end of the callers, but we're still having problems. Yesterday, that problem on Zafeno, I celebrated. I said that was the end of it. And this morning, it was back again. So we need to look into those things. It may not be us. It may be the telephone company, whatever. But we need to look at it. And it says the assurance comes days after St. Lucia's Prime Minister Philip Pierre disclosed that his government had been instructed by Washington to discontinue the program. Pierre made the revelation during his address. Okay, I read that. Many of our doctors got trained in Cuba, and now the great United States has said we can't do that any longer. So this is a major problem that I have to face. Some of my colleagues, it means prime ministers, have already taken a position and banned them, he said, adding, so the American government has said that we can't even train them, doctors in Cuba. So I have a major issue on my hands for reasons not known to them or not known to me. Several Caribbean states have relied on Cuban. Do we have another caller? All right. Have relied on Cuban medical training for years. Chairman of the Caribbean Community, CARICOM, and St. Kitts and Nevis's Prime Minister, Dr. Terence Drew, is himself a Cuban-trained medical doctor. He also pursued specialized studies in the United States. However, Tertiary Education Minister, Dr. Prakash Prasad, that's in Trinidad, yesterday told Guardian Media that TNT has not sent any new medical students to Cuba this year, though he insists the decision was made independently. The scholarship was offered there. All right, they've been offering every year, and this year we decided to decline it. Not because of the US or anybody else, but because of the condition there that the students face, because we have to send food to them and a variety of things. I mean, come on, who are you fooling with that? You've been having to send food and everything to them for so long. You know, this year you decline it. You decline it because there has been a recent change of government in Trinidad. And we have seen that Kamla Prasad Bissessa has been doing everything she can, plus some, to show that she's the most pro-American, leader in the Caribbean. And whatever America tells her, that she'll just fall in line with it. Now, the thing is, when you have countries like that doing it, it puts pressure on the others. If Trinidad and Tobago can decline and say they're not sending any students, why should you, St. Lucia, be doing it? Why should you, Antigua, be doing it? If they can tough it out and don't do, why do you have to do it? So the pressure mounts on you when you're doing it. When we will take stock of things, it may well be that next to Donald Trump, thank God we got delivered from Alan Chastney in St. Lucia, but next to Donald Trump, the most destructive thing for the Caribbean might well end up being the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago and the government that's there. They'll come to their senses, at some point, mind you. They must come to their senses. Ultimately, everybody who thinks they can cavort and consult with Donald Trump, they come to their senses, You know, Europe is coming to its senses. They're still going to be wicked, of course, but they come into their senses to realize. Anyway, we're getting a call. Real Issues, you're on the air. Hello.
Yeah, good afternoon.
Hi, good afternoon. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. Uber issue.
What?
The Uber, that's the name of the company.
Yeah, the taxi.
Yeah,
Right.
I think that from the onset, the Deputy Prime Minister should have come out at least to call up.
What's wrong with your phone? Your phone is very muffled and so on.
Okay. I'm saying that the Deputy Prime Minister should have called a press conference from the onset, to discuss that.
This is not the first time he's spoken about it. So it's not that just yesterday or whenever he spoke that he mentioned. He's spoken about that before.
And what he said, I've not heard.
I can't go and recap for you, but he spoke on the matter before. He said he basically said this is.
In favor of Uber?
What?
Is he in favor of Uber?
He didn't say that. He met with the taxi people and the minibus and the sectors, the stakeholders, to hear their views and so on. And then I suppose he didn't come alone, as Lucian Joseph said. He came with other technocrats and so on. And I suppose they will take everything into account and weigh a decision.
Okay, but they have not made a decision yet.
No, not to my knowledge, sir.
Yeah, because what was circulating around is that he had already given license to them.
Not to my knowledge. That's not what I'm hearing.
Oh, okay.
That they don't have that kind of authorization yet.
They should protect the local taxi sector.
I think they're committed to doing that.
And then forget about Uber.
All right. Thank you very much, sir.
All right.
Yeah. All right. We're taking your calls 487-9849 on the WhatsApp line, and we just got this one on the landline. We haven't gotten any call on the WhatsApp line as yet, so we need to find out whether there's any issue, because the calls that we've gotten have been on this on the landline. Anyway, Passad noted that around 7 citizens are currently studying medicine in Cuba, all from various cohorts. From previous cohorts, with some in their second year and others further along in training. He noted that the government invited them to return home, citing their living conditions, but they declined. However, he said the government continues to monitor their welfare and provide support. Meanwhile, international relations lecturer at the University of the West Indies, Dr. Michael Pawinski, said Washington's recent actions reflect a long-standing effort to shape the region's foreign and national security policies. However, he said the lack of unity among Caribbean states is troubling. You have to look at Trinidad, in the present scenario. The United States is implementing a divide and conquer strategy, but it's up to the region to respond to whether it is following Washington's lead or playing along, or whether it will present a united approach towards the United States, which would be very difficult to do because divide and conquer has already been effectively implemented. You see that? The momentum is against you, Now the countries that have not received visa restrictions will think 3 times before they do anything with the countries where visa restrictions have been imposed. This is very much part of the divide and conquer strategy. Yeah, I'll make you scared. I'll do something to one and you'll get frightened. Implemented by the United States in the Caribbean regions. On TNT's foreign policy stance, Pawinski said, Prasad Bises's approach appears to have helped the country avoid punitive measures affecting other CARICOM states. However, he cautioned against framing this as a benefit. Professor Anthony Bryan, the former head of the Institute of International Relations at the UWI, also suggested that the U.S. is actively pursuing a divide and conquer agenda across the Caribbean. We have a call on the line. Hello, Real Issues, you're on the air. Hello,
good afternoon, Shelton. How you doing?
Hey, good afternoon. How you doing?
Hi there, cool, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just wanted to give my opinion on that the Cuba situation. I find that Cuba have helped St. Lucia so much, and I know America is trying its best to have the Caribbean countries under an embargo so that they could be in control. But I find that the ties that St. Lucia has with Cuba, that it shouldn't be cut. That's just my opinion, like I said, because Cuba have been very helpful to St. Lucia.
Okay. All right, I agree with you. Thanks. The thing Trinidad is doing, that it is just weakening CARICOM. It's just weakening you, When you have a major place like Trinidad and so on, which, is at the forefront of CARICOM, economically, in a lot of the political evolution of CARICOM, and you do this kind of thing, and you do it with that kind of suddenness, the shock effect of it. I have to tell you too, that's why I've been talking about Venezuela. Venezuela has hurt regional solidarity more than any other. When the CARICOM is standing up for you, ready to take on the United States diplomatically, lobbying for you, and for Maduro to have unleashed that kind of aggression against Guyana that he did in recent times, like, you know, I ain't nothing. We won the Essequibo and we'll take it and we consider it part of us. And here is the map. You know, you're doing that at what is supposed to be the height and the peak of Venezuela CARICOM solidarity. At the end of the day, it's like basically, you know, somebody that I was fighting for, I find several people putting on you. I come, I fight for you, I take blows because of you, and then all of a sudden, in the middle of the fight, or when I successfully ward off people, you just turn and pa! You know, you give me a lash with a stone or a piece of wood on my head, you know, because of something we had before. But okay, we had all these things before. Is there any abrogation of ill will based on the fact that I stood up for you? And that's what to this day, I tell myself sometimes, you know, we have to look at things where the retribution manifests itself in some ways that we don't understand. For Venezuela, and the aggression to me is the worst from the time I have become conscious of it that I ever saw it, you know. It's like Venezuela was basically like, you know, I ain't care, I coming for you now, Guyana and this kind of thing. But what's with those fellas? Timing is everything. And now you're doing that kind of thing. And so when I talk about Kamla Prasad-Bissessar, what Maduro did was that he gave justification, he gave comfort, he gave, oh, well, you know, look, even the CARICOM people who spoke up for them, they're threatening them now and so on. You know, I mean, come on, guys. Come on. Anyway, let's take the break that we have due. We'll come back, take a couple more calls, and then we'll head into our 2 o'clock, okay?
The man, the voice. Your hero is back. Raw facts, no fluffs. Shelton Daniel is here to deal with the issues. Real issues. 12:30 p.m. to 2 p.m. Monday to Friday on Real FM.
This one will be massive! Legacy 2026, the Independence Edition, Saturday, February 7th, 8 p.m., Rodney Bay Pavilion. It's the big war! Legacy presents one of the Caribbean's greatest artists ever, the undisputed Queen of Soca, Destra. Yes, Destra Garcia. Destra. Then our groovy giants, Teddyson John, doing his vintage set.
I must have a woman to come and wine up on me.
And King Alpha. Plus the outstanding St. Lucian cast, a mix of legends and rising stars. Ashanti, Educator, Desro, Manchas, Black Eye. Short pants and more. Legacy 26 will be an epic show. Saturday, February 7th, 8 p.m., Rodney Bay Pavilion. Limited early birds $120. Regular $150. Tickets available at Steve's Barbershop and The Way. Sponsored by Republic Bank, Massey Store, First Citizen, IBS Solution, Piton Bear, Crystal Clear Water, Flow, and the Independence Committee.
Are you ready to make your mark in the media industry? NBC and Real FM are looking for fresh talent to join our team. We are currently seeking a dynamic radio DJ and announcer for Real FM, and also a skilled camera operator and editor for NBC. Apply today. Send your applications to jobs@nbcslu.com. Don't wait. The deadline is February 12th, 2026.
The man, the voice. Your hero is back. Raw facts, no fluff. Shelton Daniel is here to deal with the issues. Real issues. 12:30 p.m. to 2 p.m. Monday to Friday on Real FM.
All right, we're into the final few minutes of today's program, the real issues. And, just continuing this article from the Trinidad Guardian, it says former Foreign Affairs Minister Dr. Amory Brown has accused the Prime Minister Kamala Persad-Bissessor of departing from TNT's long-standing approach to relations with Cuba, arguing that successive governments have historically maintained a close and mutually supportive partnership with Havana. That decision on her part was regrettable. Up until April 2025, Trinidad and Tobago was in close and constructive communication with counterparts of the USA and beyond, and provided very useful details and information in support of the continued role of Cuba in providing key healthcare providers to help serve our people. This communication ensured that the Cuban medical program in TNT continued unimpeded, and in fact the various protections and progressive elements of the program in TNT were regarded as a good example for the rest of the region. Contacted for an update on the program, the Prime Minister said, "I will have to get this information for you." The issue of the Cuban medical program surfaced publicly last March, when then Prime Minister Stuart Young defended TNT's use of Cuban health workers. It followed an announcement by U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio that Washington would impose visa restrictions on Cuban government officials and others deemed to be complicit in Havana's overseas medical programs. Rubio cited concerns about alleged human trafficking linked to the initiative. Folks, today I was watching the Independence Baton Relay before I came to the studio, and they were in Labrie. And I looked and I said, I kind of find, the sort of crowd I would expect, that it looks a little smaller. It doesn't look as vibrant and energetic as I expected. I had to remind myself that we're at midweek. Labrie is a place of very industrious, very disciplined, very committed people. Yes, that's true for many other areas, but Labrie, it's not that everybody's on the same page and they talk and like each other, but Labrie people, I have found over the years of interacting with them, they are very cohesive people, and it doesn't mean that there is camaraderie about them. Who's going to sea? They're committed to going to sea. The day they're on the beach mending their nets or whatever, they're talking to you, but it's like they have mastered the art of carrying on a conversation, but that mending of the net, they're very intense about it. The sports people, cricket especially, they're very intense about it. Teachers, civil servants. So I say, okay, it's a day where midweek, people gone to work and so on, who can afford to come and support and so on, they'll do it. But they're not going to compromise the things that are their commitments, especially when it comes to work. So I have to remind myself that it doesn't mean the enthusiasm for Baton Relay and the things which you always find Labrie heavily supporting, that they're not there. And then I also have to remind myself that there could be a bit of fatigue in the country. Elections, very intense election campaign, and it was going on even before the official announcement. The election campaign was not when the election was named on the 10th of November, when the election date was given. Intense campaign it had been going on. The Labour Party won, and you could see the victory was more than just its policies and its performance in government, but in terms of the kind of campaign, the intensity, the energy that they put into it. That would have been something that would have been tiring for the nation. Then you had National Day, of which so much was not possible to be done. Christmas, the New Year came, Nobel laureates thing, the Baton Relay, the announcement of jazz. Maybe there's been a lot of things that have drained, reopening of school, that has drained the energy of a lot of people. But let me tell you something. Apart from the close proximity, the packing, the cramming together of a lot of events that would require people to be intensely engaged physically and otherwise and can tire you. There's some people that can drain your energy, you know. Haven't you noticed that there's some people that are energy drainers? You meet up with them and they always want to talk, they always want a meeting, but it's like something about them. You come out of a conversation or meeting and you wonder, but what was that about? What was the meeting about? What did the person really want to say? They take your time, they take your energy, your attention. And I'm going to tell you this. To me, Donald Trump is a global energy drainer. Nobody knows where they stand with this guy or the US government, the entire fabric, where you stand with him. I heard that he has met with the president of Colombia, of whom he had said some dirty things about the guy, about how the guy's, or what he said he is. He's a nasty person, whatever, who just wants to make drugs to send to the United States. You know, all these kinds of things. You believe Gustavo Petro, an intellectual kind of fella, I think, you know, university professor, can't really remember, that he's personally involved in drugs and ordering them to be shipped to the United States. Yeah, there have been corrupt people. You never know of the links and so on. But many years ago, the United States of America accused the CARICOM leader of doing just that. His name was Sir Lyndon Pindling of the Bahamas. We have a call on the line. Let's take the call. Real Issues, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Hi, Shelton.
How are you? I'm okay.
Interesting topic today. I was trying to get on earlier, but I was having some technical difficulties. But what I wanted to add to the conversation was it would be good to know what the contract is between Uber and the drivers, particularly regards to how the pricing, how much the driver gets paid, and Dr. Augustine alluded to the predatory practices, and so it would be good to find out how much does the driver actually get paid.
Okay.
And the service that Uber provides, like I heard in your discussion, Allah is a local provider, always also provides it. But I dare say that there are many other local providers that do the same thing. They take a commission from the taxi drivers to give them trips. It happens in the hotels, some hotel workers. It happens with some contract providers of transportation. My understanding is they take as much as 20% of the fare, you know, which to me sounds a little high based on, you know, a fare to Viewfort and how much it costs to maintain a vehicle. And I think that is something that needs to be looked into, you know, along with this Uber discussion.
Okay.
You know, how much that people are profiting off the taxi drivers.
Okay.
When they do that.
Well, if I can get that information from any driver who's, you know, registered with Uber to provide the service, that maybe, you know, you can see the sign of because normally even in digital things they have this something that you have to click a box, how they call it, you know, some kind of agreement or whatever that you have to do. Maybe we can get our hands on that or print out of them. They can be long and so on, but something that we can look and read into. What exactly is the agreement that they would have to sign up for?
Yes, and in the discussion, I think I listened to an interview with the Minister of Tourism, and he was saying that there were taxi drivers who had expressed an interest to Uber. At least that's what the Uber people were saying. So that is also significant that the taxi drivers themselves, you know, are willing participants.
Okay.
You know, to me, it's a broader discussion about the unity among taxi drivers in terms of moving forward. But I mean, with the open market, it's like everybody's trying to get a place to fit themselves. As one Facebook contributor said, you know, a lot of taxi drivers were recently certified, and they have found a home with Uber. You know, technology is something we can't get away from. It's changing. You know, but at the end of the day, for me, the profit of that the taxi driver would make is important.
All right, we have to go now, friend. All right, thank you very much. All right, so it's time for us to slide out of here. Lotto will come in at any moment. Real Issues powered by Blue Waters. Let's do it again tomorrow, same time, 12:30 to 2 on Real FM Radio, NBC Television, Facebook, and YouTube live streaming. Shelton Daniel signing out.
The voice. Your hero is back. Raw facts, no fluff. Shelton Daniel is here to deal with the issues. Real issues. 12:30 p.m. to 2 p.m. Monday to Friday on Real FM.
This one will be massive! Legacy 2026, the Independence Edition. Saturday, February 7th, 8 p.m., Rodney Bay Pavilion. It's the big war! Legacy presents one of the Caribbean's greatest artists ever, the undisputed queen of soca, Destra. Yes, Destra Garcia. Destra. Then our groovy giants, Teddyson John, doing his vintage set.
I must have a woman to come and wine up on me.
And King Appa. Plus the outstanding St. Lucian cast, a mix of legends and rising stars. Ashanti, Educator, Desra, Manchas, Black Eye. Short pants and more. Legacy 26 will be an epic show. Saturday, February 7th, 8 p.m. Rodney Bay Pavilion. Limited early birds $120. Regular $150. Tickets available at Steve's Barber Shop and The Way.
The winning numbers for the midday draw of Wednesday for February 2026 were Double Daily Grand 3, 5, 14, 20. Big 4, 2, 2, 4, 3. The Big 4 Multi-X ball drawn is FP. Pick 2, 9, 6. The Pick 2 Multi-X ball drawn is 3X. 1 off, 8, 1, 3. Lucky 3, 2, 1, 9. The Lucky 3 Multi-X ball drawn is 3X.
The voice. Your hero is back.